Well, that was a longer break than we anticipated. Welcome back to the We Are West Ham podcast with me, Will Pugh, and my mate James Jones. Very sorry for the delay. All of you who messaged me or James or the podcast, indeed, on social media, asking where our end of season wrap up podcast episode was. Well, here it is. It may well be the 26th of June, about 6 weeks after the Premier League season finished. But the pair of us have been extremely busy indeed. If you follow me or James on social media, Instagram in particular, you will know that. While we're there, Jonesy, little plug of our socials. I'm at Will ___ Pugh on Instagram, I think, but you can find it if you go to the podcast. James, what are you on socials?
Same as my Twitter or X handles at by James Jones on Instagram, at by James Jones on Twitter, X, or whatever Elon Musk is calling it these days.
Is your X handle? It's not your handle anymore.
No, it's my handle.
What? Why is it?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's the worst. That's the worst joke. That's the worst joke I've ever heard in my life.
No, still my handle.
What are you talking about?
Ex-girlfriend, ex-handle, that sort of thing. So as you may have seen, England have been playing in the Euros. That explains part of mine and James's busyness. Football media professionals as we are, I was out in Germany for the first England game. England won Serbia 0. Actually, our only victory of the Euro so far at time of recording, which has been generally very busy bees. But I hope, and as far as I understand from all the feedback we've got, that you did enjoy the end of season media panel that I recorded with, who did I record that with, James? Jacob Steinberg, Jack Rosser, Tom Rennie, Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian, Jack Rosser from The Sun, both West Ham correspondents for their respective organisations, and Tom Rennie in London Bridge. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed that too on the podcast and on YouTube. But we're back. Me and Jonesy thought we would do one. It is just a one-off, I'm afraid, until the season starts again. That'd be middle of August. James, I know we've got the dates already, early August sometime. I can't remember what the date of the first game is now. But Jonesy, how are you? It's been 6 weeks. What's new?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. Aside from being rather hot, which is wonderful, you won't find me moaning about the heat. Hot, bored of England. Surprise, surprise.
The nation the country as a whole, or just the nation, the football team?
The football team, yeah. I mean, the country as a whole. Well, even the country as a whole, to be fair. I mean, it's just a little bit drab, isn't it, with the election coming up and all the rest of it. It's just, you wake up in the morning, it's just boring.
Especially, it must be for you if you're lot on the way out.
Funny. I'm other than that, I'm good. I'm good. I've enjoyed the summer so far. Very busy at work.
You got a little tan/burn going on the old boat race there?
Yeah, I was in the garden doing a barbecue on Sunday.
Of course you were.
Got myself out there for a little bit, and then
got the pins out.
Every day, had the pins out, and every day this week, because I bought loads of meat which didn't get eaten. Every day this week, I've had a barbecue for lunch as well. I've just popped in the garden, whacked on the barbie, had a couple of burgers, and back upstairs into the office. It's been superb. Best time of year.
It's funny. I love you to bits, but sometimes you are a bit of a walking cliche, aren't you? Like,
why?
If ever there was a man who loved the barbecue in the back garden and would put it on his Instagram, it's you, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what though? I bought, obviously, when we finally moved to this house last year, it was one of the first things I wanted to buy was a barbecue.
Right.
And so I had plenty of barbecues last summer. This summer, I couldn't wait to finally get it going again. And it'd been undercover for best part of 8 months or whatever it is. And on Saturday, I thought, right, now's the time. Took the cover off, found a spider's nest. I'm petrified of spiders.
Oh yeah.
Spider's nest, a little family of them, just like playing happy families in my barbecue.
Right.
I thought, absolute cheek. So
did you scream?
I did scream a little bit. The neighbours must have thought, is he all right? There was loads of them. So yeah, the jet wash was plugged in, turned on, and the family of spiders are no longer.
That's horrendous.
just to make sure, and this is terrible actually. But because
What
I'm
you've
so
already said is terrible, but yeah, go
yeah,
on.
but because I'm so scared of them.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely scared. Lucy has to get them out of the house if I find one in the house.
yeah.
I then turned the barbecue on, gas barbecue, turned it on, closed the lid, and waited for it to hit 300 degrees. Thought, if there's any more in there, they're not in there anymore. They're all cooked. So yeah,
It's horrible. I don't know why I'm laughing. That's monstrous. That is animal cruelty, and that is
it might
monstrous.
be. They're not animals, though, are they?
Well, of course they are.
Nothing should have 8 legs. It's just not.
Octopuses are like they've got near human levels of intelligence, and they've got 8 legs. It's
They taste
actually a
nice as well,
scandal.
octopuses, to be fair.
No, that's the thing, right? I've got a real campaign about this. You can't be eating, anyone listening, you can't be eating octopus. Squid, fine. Squid are just like amoebas, brainless.
No,
If you watch
octopus is lovely.
go and watch My Octopus Teacher on Netflix, and I swear to you, you will never ever eat it again.
Oh, and you're talking about the octopus that wasn't there an octopus that predicted the results for like Euro 2012 or something like that? They had an octopus
No,
predicting the results or something.
I'm serious, right? I'm going to set you some homework before the first game of the season. Please, I'm serious because it's actually a good watch. Watch My Octopus Teacher on Netflix, and I guarantee you, like, you know me, I'm not particularly like, like I'm not particularly, don't have particularly staunch views on veganism, vegetarianism, whatever. Like, whatever floats your boat, everyone. But I seriously, I haven't eaten octopus since I watched it. Honestly, you won't. It'd be like eating a dog. It's like eating a dog. That's right.
No, don't be silly.
I'm telling you, it is.
If it's on the menu, then for me it's fair game to eat. That's what I'm saying. Go to the restaurant.
Well, yeah, but dog would be in China.
Yeah, but I wouldn't try dog. That's kind of because it's a domesticated animal, isn't it? Like you don't just you don't find octopuses just knocking about, yeah, in people's houses.
Well, no, go watch My Octopus Teacher on Netflix. Like, he went round the octopus's house basically every day for a year. This bloke, seriously, it's an amazing doco. Watch it.
Right, I'll watch that.
But anyway,
yeah.
And stop eating octopus. Because don't taste how much different to squid. Let's call it as it is. It's no different. It's no different. If I put a plate of fried octopus and fried squid in front of you, you wouldn't know the difference.
I beg to differ on that,
mate. What else is new? Anyway, then. Watching the Euros?
I have been watching the Euros. Fell asleep during the second half of the game yesterday.
That's for in case you listen to it later. Yeah, that's England 0, Slovenia 0.
Yeah, but have been just generally just quite. I don't really care. I go into every tournament just been like, like this could be it. And then it's always after 2 games of the group stage, you're like, this is just rubbish. We'll get through. We'll probably get to the quarters. And then we'll probably lose on penalties, like it is most of the time. But under Gareth Southgate, it has been different.
Yeah, that's better.
But then this time under Gareth Southgate, it's just very, very different to the World Cup and the last Euros. There's a completely different feeling
Scotland
around it.
When we got to the last Euros final in the group stage, 0-0 Scotland.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just the feeling around it is very different to the last 2 tournaments, I think.
Group stage are always rubbish, aren't they? Like, everyone gets excited. It's like tournament football, and then it's like, Slovenia got 11 men behind the ball. This is dull.
Yeah, but when you've got like, you've even got the likes of Gary Lineker and all that, just like slagging the team off in public. It's just like, this isn't like a few years ago, like the last tournament, you had like all the press were playing darts to the players beforehand, and everyone was like, "This squad's the greatest squad in the world. Doesn't matter. Don't worry, Gareth Southgate will get it right." And now it's like, you're the worst team in it. Like it's not the same. And to be fair, there haven't been many games. The first few games of the tournament, I was like, this could be a great tournament. But like, there haven't been many where I've gone, like, that was a fantastic 90 minutes.
No. Yeah, I watched the Croatia. Croatia played someone the other day. Croatia-Italy. That was pretty dramatic. Last-minute goal from Italy. And the Austria game, Austria-Holland, I think it might be.
Yeah, that was the same. That was
well good.
Game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a decent game. That was a few goals in that. I'll tell you one thing I've been struggling with big time, though, James, is watching David Moyes on the TV as a pundit. As in, by struggling, I mean, it's making me sad and love him even more.
Yeah, it's good to see him smiling and happy and having a good time.
Yeah,
I get the feeling
yeah.
he's going to get the Scotland job, isn't he? Steve Clark's probably on his way out. He's probably going to get the Scotland job, which would be nice for him. But
You reckon?
yeah, I reckon they'll probably go
That's
for
a
him.
bit beneath him, isn't it?
No,
They're
well,
not paying. They're not paying £6 million a year, are they?
Yeah, I know, but he is Scottish.
Well,
So
astute
why not?
observation there, mate. Yeah, he is.
But yeah, beyond despite all that, it is good to see him doing this punditry. I did laugh though when I think it was in there. Was it the second game where they ideally need to win? It was 0-0 at half time, or something like that, and they had to. They asked him at half time, "Oh, well, do you go for the win if you're the manager now? Do you go the second half? Do you go for the win?" He's like, "No. We'll just see how it goes for the first 20 minutes or so in the second half." And everyone's like, "No, Dave, like Scotland need to win this game."
Yeah.
And it took me back to the good old days under David Moyes.
Yeah. So we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes for the first 45 minutes of the second half, and then we'll perhaps think about making one.
And then just hopefully we got Thomas Souček at the back post, just to pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you make of? Well, I'll put my point to you first. I sort of found it quite funny. So I went out there for the Serbia game, not realizing it would be the best game of the group stage for England. Great ticket, great seats, great stadium. Very, very nice welcome. Nice to go back to Germany again after my 2 trips there this year for the Freiburg game and then the Leverkusen games, both in the Europa League. One thing I sort of have been laughing at so far during the tournament, Jonesy, is particularly after the Denmark game. I think because I'm so used to watching David Moyes football that while everyone else is having an absolute meltdown about England under Gareth Southgate, I'm like, don't worry, lads. Like, you don't need to have the ball like to win and do well. You don't even need to look good, like when you do have the ball. But just somehow you end up doing it. I know this style of football and this brand of football, and I'm all right with it. And trust me, things will be okay. And it felt very much like, especially after the Denmark game, I was like, 4 points, top of the group. All right, hasn't been pretty. So what? Who cares? My tune has changed slightly after the Slovenia game, I'll be honest. But it did feel like very much like Will Pugh of last season on the We Are West Ham podcast, like being the only one shouting into a void that, like, don't worry, things are okay under David Moyes. I don't know what it is that's changed, but I apparently just find it really easy to enjoy terrible football now. As long as the team I'm watching don't lose, that seems to be where my bar is.
I did laugh actually after it was after the Denmark game when it was peak moans and groans from everyone, and there was a lot of people who weren't West Ham fans on social media going, Southgate, boring style of football, he's got to go, this is ridiculous, look at all those talented players. And in my head I was like, I wonder how many of these were going, how dare West Ham want a different manager?
Yeah.
Look at what David Moyes has done at West Ham. How could they? How dare they dream for better? What? A couple of months later, they get this. They're being served the exact same stuff for their country, and they're demanding better.
Yeah, even though they're top of the group.
Even though they're top of the group, Gareth Southgate's taken us to a World Cup semi-final and a Euros final. Literally the best era of English football in decades, in a generation. So that doesn't mean to say that I think he's the best man for the job anymore, because I genuinely don't. I think he's similar to Moyes at West Ham. I think his race is run.
It's almost identical, isn't it? Like, I feel like we definitely lived the best era of club and international football at the same time.
Yeah, he's had a good run. He's done. Like, I'll never forget being there for the Euros final. One of an incredible day, and it's memories that I'll be able to tell my son about and go, I was there when we almost won the Euros
with a rocket up my backside.
Yeah, I was. I see that guy. That was me. It wasn't, by the way. That wasn't me. But yeah, like, he's given me memories that I never thought I'd experience as an England fan. So, similar to Moyes, I'll always love him. But yeah, time to go, mate. Time to go.
It's funny. I mean, we're saying this. I genuinely think as well, in the knockout stages, teams will come at us a bit, and I think that will make us look better, because all of our good players will have a little bit more space to operate in. But look, I mean, this isn't the We Are England podcast. Perhaps we could have done that. I mean, we could have done, but most, lots of our listeners who are from Australia, the US, Canada, and just generally all around the world and around Europe. Lots of them wouldn't be English and probably don't give a stuff what's going on in the Euros at the moment. So, Jonesy, coming in, look, West Ham, let's talk about West Ham. Just to sort of let everyone know what's coming up on this pod. We'll talk about West Ham, a brief look back at last season. A little bit of time's gone on now, so me and James have made the executive decision not to do the month-by-month run-through like we usually do. Like I say, lots of time's gone on. Frankly, we're both a little bit stretched for time at the moment. Jonesy, coming in. I don't know, what one are you more excited about? Wes Fotheringham, or I'll tell you the one I'm excited about is trying to hear the myriad different ways that you pronounce the word Guillermo or Guillermo or whatever throughout this season.
Well, I was very keen to know exactly how you pronounce it, and in his welcome video, he pronounced his own name as Lewis Guillermo. So
Guillermo.
Guillermo or Guillermo or whatever, if you want to add the way at the end of it, it's up to you. But I mean, I think that's the closest you're going to get to it, Lewis Guillermo. It's not that difficult, though, is it, mate? Unless you've got, I don't know, it's just not that hard, is it? Lewis Guillermo.
Brazilian and Portuguese names. There's always like 7 or 8 different pronunciations when they come to England.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But this one's Lewis Guillermo. I'm sticking with that, and if it's wrong, then so be it. Like, he can correct me.
That's what you're calling him.
He can call into the podcast and tell us exactly how it is.
So, obviously, a bit of a concern, James. You imagine we'd have lost a listener with Moisey leaving. You would hope, wouldn't you? Obviously, it was a sad day when King Arthur Masuaku left, another loyal We Are West Ham listener. You would hope, wouldn't you, that the message is being spread around the changing room. Do you think maybe when David Moyes, sort of like our governments do sometimes, when that famously the Labour government 14 years ago now left a note on the table for the Tories saying, unlucky, there's no money left. Do you think David Moyes left a sort of handover pack for Julian Lopetegui when he left, and one of the notes on there being, make sure you get subscribed, downloaded to the We Are West Ham podcast, not only on the pod for when you're on the go, but also on YouTube as well?
I mean, it goes without saying, doesn't it? I would like to think that it's already sort of plugged into all the I don't know, the computers in and around the training ground and the stadium.
The computers? How old are you? 65?
Well, stereos, or I mean, what do they? What do they use?
Have you gone in a time warp or so? Woken up in 1992?
I don't know. I mean,
it's like, oh yeah, they're cassette Walkmans. This is a podcast, James. This is a modern
but I listen to podcasts via my laptop.
Speakers.
Via my laptop, I'd listen to podcasts.
Your computer.
So, but yeah, and it's probably I'm going to go more modern now. Yeah. Get my words out. It's probably tuned into all the Apple CarPlays and all the company cars. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's pre-programmed everywhere you go.
Got it downloaded on his MP3 player or his iPod Nano.
The mini display and all the rest of
it. Yeah. Mini disc is a good one. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, you would hope so. And just off the back of that, hopefully Lewis downloads it a bit lively as well, and perhaps learns how to actually pronounce his name rather than how he's been doing it all season. I mean, James, my general approach to transfers is that come and talk to me about them once they've signed on the dotted line and they're holding their shirt up in the picture. On this occasion, we have got 2 people holding shirts up in pictures. General thoughts, first of all, on Luis Guillermo, please.
Well, I'm led to believe that, I'm judging by the comments on social media when we signed him, I should be incredibly excited about it. But that doesn't really feel right, given I know absolutely nothing about him. And people. I did hear a South American football expert, not Tim Vickery, but someone else.
Is there
say
others? Isn't it just Tim Vickery? Has he
there
got
are
the
others,
monopoly on that
and
market?
I actually used to work with one who I keep meaning to DM on Twitter and go, "Mate, what do you think of him?" But I haven't done it yet. But there was whoever it was said that he's up there as one of the best players to come out of Brazil, alongside Endrick, who's just signed for Real Madrid, broken into the Brazil team. And it was almost like, yeah, this guy's on the same level as Endrick. I beg to differ, given that Endrick's just signed for Real Madrid for something silly like 60 million quid, already scoring goals for Brazil. And Luis Guilherme is just signed for West Ham for 25 million quid. So yeah, he could be brilliant. He could be brilliant, and it's difficult to really tell, given that he scored 1 goal in 20 games last season. Underwhelming for a player that we're all meant to be incredibly excited about. But I'm not going to say it's a bad signing, and I'm not going to say it's an incredible signing. I'm going to jury's out on him.
It's a signing.
I think people just get excited just because the player's Brazilian. He's Brazilian. He must be good. He's got to be good, and he's Brazilian. So don't remember Wellington Paul Lister, then, do you?
Oh, great one. Good shout there.
So let's just chill out on him. Chill out.
You don't have to tell me twice. Okay. So we're chilling out on Luis Guilherme. It did remind me though of Luis Yao, who I boldly said on this podcast. If anyone even remembers him, if you're listening, going who? Yeah, exactly. Brazilian centre back West Ham signed for the development squad, which is exactly where he stayed. And I boldly said at the time, that bloke will never ever play for West Ham's first team. It seemed like an awfully long time ago, James. I can't even remember when that was. But you reckon that he's actually highly rated and that, in fact, he is still at the club?
Yeah, I saw something recently that he's still at the club and he's still rated at the club. That may have changed now. There's a new management and all the rest of it, but apparently still rated. And he's a mate of Guilherme's. Guilherme mentioned him in one of his little interviews, saying that he knows him. Right. So, and that was kind of we've still got him, have we? He's still knocking about. And then kind of flicking through social media and saw people commenting. So, yeah, you never know. Lopetegui might come in and go, no, let's get him in the first team, and he might prove you wrong, mate. No one knows.
Mate, he's 22. The bloke, 22 years of age. This is
Louis. Not exactly. He's not old, is he? Come on.
Oh no, but let's be frank, he's hardly young either, is he? I mean, he did score 3 goals in the Premier League 2 last season in 18 appearances. Made 5 appearances in the EFL trophy for West Ham. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like he's going to be knocking on the door anytime soon. And given that we did have Nayef Aguirre playing for us last season, and he still didn't get a shout, so perhaps it can't be all that. Where's Fotheringham? James, like I said already, giving David Martin vibes. We've got Super Fab for another season. We've got Super Big Alphonse, as he's commonly known as. I mean, how excited can you really get about? I reckon Wes Fotheringham will make as many appearances for West Ham as Luis Yao does.
I mean, it's a box ticking signing, isn't it? Like, we need, we want to boost homegrown quota for the squad, and Nathan Trott finally leaving for Copenhagen permanently this time, and releasing Joseph Anang means that we did need another goalkeeper to come in. I think Knightsbridge as well. He's a goalkeeper. He was released as well. So there's literally no goalkeepers left at the club, and we could probably do with a third one given our injury record. One of Fabianski and Ariola will get injured at some point. And so it was kind of what we've run out of options. We have to get in a free agent, and Wes Fotheringham. I actually looked at his record for Sheffield United last year, and I wish I hadn't, but I
played lots of games, didn't he?
He played the first 30 league games for them, conceded 79 goals, and was then
not solely his fault, I suppose. But
no, but then he did make 5 errors that led to goals and scored 1 own goal in those 30 games. I mean, the defence in front of him was championship level.
Woeful. Yeah.
And he was dropped for the last 8 games and still ended the season with the 6th most saves of any Premier League goalkeeper. Only like 5 behind Areola, who made the 3rd most saves in the Premier League. So the record wasn't good, but then Sheffield United became the first team to concede 100 plus goals in a 38 game season. He's not going to play for us. So let's be frank, he's not going to play. He's in to finish. He's in to tick a box. He knows he's got a 2-year deal. He knows he's literally just sitting there, train with the other 2 for 5 days a week, and then sit up in the stands. Unless you just be ready. Just be ready. He's like West Ham's very own Scott Carson.
Just be ready. That's amazing, though, isn't it? Yeah. Just be ready. Fair enough. What do you make of? Obviously, we touched on it in the media panel about Lucas Paqueta and the situation there, and how that may or may not impede West Ham's other transfer business. Because, as we were informed by Jack and Jacob, the club were very much sort of, had accounted for that sale. And the 85 million quid, his release clause, that would have come in, and that lots of that money would have sort of, been used in this window. How I know that situation hasn't particularly moved on, but what do you make of that? How are you feeling? What do you think the rest of the transfer window will look like?
I mean, it's concerning that. It's concerning, but at the same time, it's funny how he's still maintaining that he's completely innocent, which makes me wonder what evidence has the FA got. It's concerning that we could lose him, and it could be a year or 2 ban, maybe longer. But at the same time, it's probably more concerning that it may have affected our business. I was quietly hopeful that we may be able to keep hold of him this summer. But then when you hear that the club are kind of banking on his move to City going through, it makes you wonder, okay, well, what does that mean? I'm a little bit concerned. But you see we're trying to buy Max Kilman for a cut price at Wolves, trying to push down their valuation. It sounds like we're now bartering a little bit more than perhaps we probably needed to or wanted to for players in positions that we desperately need. He definitely need another centre half. Max Kilman would be a decent signing. Definitely need another striker, but I'm not holding out any hopes for that. I don't know. In an ideal world,
Mikel Antonio is going to play for West Ham forever, isn't he? I would be dead before. I will never see West Ham have another number 9, I don't think.
In an ideal world, he's found innocent 2 days before the end of the transfer window, and by then City have already spent their money.
Get rid.
Right.
I see what you mean.
And then we're like, okay, well, you can go in January if you want, Lucas. And we coast for the first 4 or 5 months of the season with what we've got. But I don't know. I don't want to see the back of him. I love him. I think he's great. But
I agree. It feels a bit inevitable, doesn't
it? The other thing is, okay, well, we can't sell Paqueta for whatever reason. Does that mean that we might be forced into selling Kudus?
Well, the lads were saying that's almost certainly no, because no one's going to hit his release clause when his one, like Paqueta's, triggers next summer. So again, similar sort of levels. Bowen's got an £85 million odd. Interesting to see what happens at Liverpool, I still think.
Well, on the Bowen side, I read that the club had turned around to Liverpool and almost laughed them out of the room and just went, it's going to cost you 150 million quid, lads.
No, but he's got a release clause.
Is that active immediately or within?
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, yeah.
That's what I read.
Got like a 7-year contract,
and
he's got like
85 million for him.
Don't know why. Don't know why they wouldn't. I think that's reasonable value, but So I mean, again, it's still fairly early. No one UEFA rules state that no one playing at the Euros conduct any transfer business while they're out there or until the tournament concludes. So don't expect the transfer business to kick off properly until post Euros anyway. Are you sort of are you engaged in West Ham stuff at the moment, James, or are you? Because I'm pretty much like Euros fever, to be honest. I'm big time England supporter at the moment. That's the mindset I'm in. Have you got any other feelings about West Ham?
Yeah, no, for work purposes, I am kind of on top of most of it. I think
you're professionally supporting West Ham.
Professionally supporting West Ham during the summer transfer window. That's right. And like reluctantly, professionally supporting England as well. But yeah, I mean, it's like Ben Johnson's going to go to Ipswich. Turned down a 5-year contract that he initially agreed to, and then Ipswich rocked up with more money. And I think it's a good move for him. It'd be sad to see. It's always sad to see an academy player leave, particularly given that he's played over 100 games for us over the last 5-6 years.
That is bizarre. That
really
bizarre.
But at the same time, he's never really going to get in front of Soufal at right back.
No. Right.
And at his age, he's 26. I think he needs to be playing first team football every single week. And if he can get a move to a Premier League club, which are now, I think that's a good move for him. If he's been given assurances that he's going to go straight into that first 11, then good luck to him.
And I feel that, I don't know about you, Jazz, I just feel like that's just about his level. Do you know what I mean? I just never felt he was quite enough for where West Ham are and more particularly want to be at the moment.
But that's what I mean. Like, he was never going to be our first choice right back.
No.
And, he had a bit of a spell in midfield towards the end of the season because David Moyes had run out of players. And he did all right, to be fair. He
played left wing at one stage, didn't he?
Played left wing. I mean, that sub appearance at Bramall Lane at Sheffield United, he came on. He was like,
old Lanzini, wasn't he?
He channeled his inner Declan Rice all of a sudden. He was bossing the midfield all over the place. But yeah, no, it is his level. I think if he can go and play for a club that's going to be, and play, it's going to be in the Premier League, but play week in, week out for them.
Yeah.
Then he needs that at his stage of the career, and so it's sad to see him go, but wish him all the best.
Yeah. Right, James, that's nearly it for this podcast. Sort of an end of season one, albeit 6 weeks after the end of the season, kind of a midsummer one. I think we'll call it. Fixtures, they were released, and I sort of had to muster up a bit of, I don't know, just being like, already, like, I'm not even over the last season yet. I'm still sort of like exhausted from that. What did you make of the fixtures, the start, the run-in? Any particular games you were looking out for? Any difficulty, particularly? West Ham, of course, don't leave London until November, I don't believe, given all that all of our home games are in London up until that period, plus the games at London Stadium, of course. I don't know how I felt about that, really. I was sort of like, that sounds okay, but then it feels like we're just going to be very exhausted later in the season. Obviously, again, more sort of southern teams in the Prem this season, given who went down and who came up. The general travelling for a London team is lower this season.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't think it really matters, to be fair. It's just a little quirk of the fixture list, isn't it? That we're not leaving London until November. But I was a little bit annoyed, actually. The one fixture I was going to look for this season was Ipswich away, because technically now I'm in Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk. Ipswich is my local
home
team.
ground, isn't it?
30 minutes on the train, less than 30 minutes on the train. It was a good away day. I was like, I'm buzzing for that. And it's the last game of the season, Ipswich away, next May. And I was like, I can't believe it. Like, I've got all season to wait. It'd be a good day. I mean, the weather would be a little bit nice and, it'd be pretty good. But I was hoping for like a Saturday 3 p.m. Go over there and nice and easy, get home. I haven't got to worry about it. Good away day. Instead, it's going to be Sunday 4 p.m. Work the next day.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that, even if I've got to wait a few years for it. And, but the rest of it, that's decent start to the season.
Do you think? Based on what? That is a tough start. Villa at home, Palace away, Man City at home. If Palace start the season like they finished last, then that's a really tricky game. Villa in Champions League, and then I obviously don't need to tell you that Man City are good. I'm not really certain. I'm not really certain.
I think Villa at home is a decent start. I'm not particularly worried about Villa, if I'm honest.
Right.
Palace away, they're losing half the squad. Like Elise is going to Bayern Munich. So I don't know. Obviously, Man City's Man City, but I didn't look at it and go, "Oh, that's going to be terrible." Unlike a few years ago when we used to look guaranteed to get either Liverpool, Man United, or Man City first game of the season.
That's
like,
true,
well,
I suppose, yeah.
right, well, let's just start on -4.
Yeah,
Goal difference.
yeah, that's true.
So it's like last year, we started against Bournemouth away and drew that. And we ended up being a good start. And everyone was moaning about playing Brighton in the third game of the season, and we managed to beat them. So, I didn't look at it and go, "Well, that's good. That's Lopetegui sacked by September."
Well, I reckon that's 1 point. That's 1 point from them three, I reckon.
Well, it's what it is.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah. Then we've got away at Fulham, Chelsea at home, Brentford away. A bit of a West London month is September. I mean, you could feasibly you'd hope we'd win at least one of those away games. Chelsea, you
Not
never
Brentford.
know.
Brentford are our new Brighton.
Yeah, that's true, mate. Yeah, that is true. I don't think that's sort of the greatest start in history. Away to Tottenham on 19th of October, home to Ipswich 5th of October, home to United 26th. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'll feel like that against most teams next season, but I'm not sort of like filled with sort of joy. I always sort of like to get the points on the board and then get a bit of momentum going, because then I think it gives you more of a chance when you go into the big teams. But I think we'll do well to sort of come firing out the blocks.
It's difficult to call this year because you've got a new manager. Obviously, at the moment, we don't know what the starting 11 is going to be, because we don't know what sort of transfer business is going to happen in the next 6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really. At the moment, I'm not sitting there going, "Oh my god, this is gonna be a terrible start to the season." I'm going, "Wow, bring it on, boys."
Mate, we're coming 15th, 100%. If you look,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he came 15th. To be fair,
the thing is, right, there's some absolute dross that's gone down. So you kind of wave goodbye, don't you, to maybe like 15 points. I know we struggled against Sheffield United and Burnley last season. So it wasn't exactly guaranteed. But then I think with Leicester and Southampton coming up, they're like decent outfits, aren't they? And I just think there's going to be sort of less easy games. I think you'll probably see Ipswich end up as the whipping boys, and I'll bank on them to finish bottom and go back down. Potentially, Forest, I imagine they'll struggle again. But I don't know. I just if Palace are good, Brighton, we don't know what Brighton are going to turn up, but yeah, we're coming 15th is what I'm saying, basically. And then the run into the season, I mean, home to Tottenham, away to Man United, home to Forest, away at Ipswich. Could be relegation battle, those last 2 games, couldn't it?
No, I don't think it'd be a relegation battle, mate. Where's your be positive? Be positive.
Post Moisey, mate.
Okay. I think it'd be okay. Like it could, we could end up finishing 6th, and you don't know, do you? You don't know. At the moment, I just don't really, like James. I said before, you just can't really call it. I can't call it. It's too early to call. It's not even July yet. When we've signed a 3rd choice goalkeeper that will never play for us, and a Brazilian that no one had ever heard of in May.
But he's really good mates with the last Brazilian we signed who never played for us.
And it's supposed to be as good as the guy that plays for Real Madrid, but definitely isn't. So,
yeah, exactly.
All my expectations and my hopes and my dreams are shelved for the time being until such time I feel like I can judge it a little bit better.
When do you think that will be?
November.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, I must admit, I'm very much. You can probably tell this is the podcast. Very much in England mode at the moment. I don't know if you noticed this, Jones. You got me number 20, me Jared
Yeah,
Bowen, England shirt on here. There we go, Jazza.
very good.
Yeah, buzzing. He come on in the first couple of games. Be surprised if he plays another minute after that, as it appears everyone wants Cole Palmer and Anthony Gordon on the pitch. James, anything else to add before we say goodbye?
I Betway Cup's returned, isn't it? Just quickly.
It has. Celta Vigo at home.
Celta Vigo decided that it's the perfect game, even though there's likely to be a protest because of the whole ticketing fiasco that we haven't touched on actually at the club. But it's the perfect game to take Harrison for his first West Ham game, so I'm incredibly excited about that.
Like it, mate. That's very, very good indeed. I think I'm going to that game with my mate and his two little boys, the youngest of whom it will also be his first game. So good to see the Betway Cup back. What do you make of the ticket thing then, James? I mean, it's sort of it's one of those things where it's just like I don't want to kind of shrug it off because it is bad, but I think it's more comes from a place of, well, I'm just so used to, like, I know fans don't like to admit it, but we are just customers these days, aren't we? And with PSR and FFP rules, clubs are sort of who's used that as a fallback that they've got to extract every penny where they can. You'd like to think that any sort of club with a soul or who's reasonably in touch with their fans wouldn't do these things through, but it's always the excuse is always, oh, so and so's doing it up the road. I think Tottenham are doing it or start doing it, whatever. For anyone who doesn't know, by the way, James, this is that West Ham are doing away with concessions. So if you've already got one, you can keep it for next season, can't you? Providing you don't move seats. If you move seats, you go onto the new one. And then, am I right in saying that from next summer, all concessions scrapped? Is that true?
Yeah, as I understand it, it's all concessions up to, I think it's bands 1 to 4. It doesn't affect the up in the gods. So basically, if you still want to, if you can get a concession ticket, expect to be literally right at the top and right at the back.
I did have a seat there once. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, the good seats. I see what you mean. I see what you're saying, but I think it's incredibly disgraceful.
Yeah, I didn't get that across. I do think it's terrible, but
for any business just to turn around and go, no, everyone's got to pay the same price, regardless of your age. I think it's like just doesn't make any sense. And what I don't like
it's
about
really
it,
short-term thinking, isn't it?
And it's because of the price of these. They're expensive. Season tickets are expensive. Football match, just one-off game tickets are expensive. Regardless of what fixture you go to, you've got to pay a pretty penny to be able to go.
Yeah.
And, I was looking, going, in a few years, Harrison's probably going to want to be like, Daddy, I want to come in for you every week. So it's like, okay, we'll have to get him a season ticket. And before I was like, but that's all right. I'll pay by then it'd probably be over 800 quid for mine. Fine. And a couple of £100 for him or 100 quid for him. Perfect. Happy days. Now, if this goes through and they stick with it, it's going to cost me 800 quid for his as well. And I'm like, am I going to do that? And there's so many other people with 2 or 3 kids that have been 100 quid apart, but now I've got to pay 5, 6, 7 grand just to take the family to West Ham every season. And it's just, it's not on. And I've seen older fans going, I was looking forward to getting my concession next year. I turn whatever it is, age 65, and now I've got to continue paying full price.
Yeah.
And
well, listen, right.
And these are fans that supported the club for 65 years, and now it's not on. It's not on, and I think it's incredibly bad taste. And no, it's just not.
I think my point was more. I
got your point.
I didn't know, but I should have. I'm just trying to make the point that actually I totally agree with you, and I think it's terrible. But I'm also long past the time of thinking that West Ham really value me as like a supporter and all my loyalty. They value me as much. No, as much as I'm able to pay my 800 quid or whatever it is, £8.50 for my ticket next season, I'm valuable as far as that, and that's it. Like, so no, I wasn't trying to make light of it. What are your thoughts, James? Right, if they're gonna do it, okay. Now, bear with me. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, but I can kind of understand, or I can understand more if they said, right, we need to make a change here to keep up the competition. I don't really buy that as a thing. I think you can still,
What
and I think most no, it's in other clubs are doing the same thing, right? So it's like, well, we've got to do that. Or we're in a PSR age and a financial fair play age. Like, we need to maximise our revenue opportunities, right? That's the line that will come out of the club. I can sort of understand if you go, right, we need to do something. So we're doing that for the over 65 tickets, right? I can kind of get that, because it's like, typically, not always, I'm not saying always, but typically people of that age, probably more like financially well off or whatever. Doing it to kids, basically, and I'm not generalizing, I know, that goes after mum and dads. Like, you're going to be like younger people, aren't they? Right. And in this day and age, typically younger people have just got less money. Like the financial crash age, not across the board. I appreciate everyone's different, but it's a fair generalization to make. So it's young parents like yourself, a little bit older than yourself. You're in your 30s still, up to in their 40s, who've got to find a significant amount of money, who may already be struggling to pay for their own. And what that does, which is what will happen, right? There'll be a significant amount of parents who go, I just can't afford that. So those tickets potentially get replaced by adults. Who knows? Or just go empty. But what will happen is that far less young people will go to West Ham. And what short-term thinking is that? Because it might not matter too much immediately, but what happens in 15 years or 20 years when, as I was a season ticket holder at Upton Park from the age of 9 up to the age of 32 when I am now, bar the year I've sort of lived out in the country, that's why I'm a season ticket holder now, is because my dad paid for my season ticket for me until I was, whatever it was, like 17 or 18, until I started working. Like, that's how it works. It seems such short-term thinking now to just completely alienate everyone. I'm not being funny. In that stadium as well, where people are still a bit and ahhing about it, and already feel that, the atmosphere is a bit of a struggle. It's half empty. 10 minutes after kickoff, 10 minutes before half time, 10 minutes after half time, and 10 to 15 minutes before the end of the game. And now you're just risking, one thing that's half good about it is full up, and at least there's 60,000 West Ham fans there. And now you're risking alienating that, not just now, but into the future as well. Like,
I completely agree. Yeah, they're essentially potentially cutting off the future of the club's fans, the club's fan base. They want, because there'd be a lot of kids who go to school with Arsenal fans and Chelsea fans and Tottenham fans, who, if that doesn't happen at those clubs, they'll just go, oh, okay, well, Dad can't afford to take me to West Ham. I'll just go to Arsenal. Or I'll go to Tottenham, or I'll go to Chelsea.
I'll go to Southend or Leyton
Or I'll go to Southend, or those
yeah.
clubs. So it could be better for the smaller clubs in and around London.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the club that's supposed to be wanting to be this global club. We've moved into this big stadium and doing well in Europe, and suddenly you're like, okay, well, yeah, we're just going to alienate the future generation of the club, essentially.
Yeah.
And also, it's incredibly bad PR at a time when the club could have done with some really good PR, to be fair. They've had 4 years of pretty good PR under David Moyes, but before then it was atrocious. Surely they would have wanted to keep that sort of general good feeling going. And instead they've just stuck it to the fans that they need on side, essentially. It's not good. I hope they decide against it. There's a big petition going around. If I can find it, I'll share it in the show notes and
Yeah.
in the comments below. But yeah, it's if you can or you haven't already, do sign it, because it'd be good if we can get the club to change their mind. And also, if it's just we need to raise more funds, how much additional funds is that making the club every single year? Because this is a club that's playing in the most watched league on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most recognisable football clubs in the world. Let's have it right.
Let's have it right. You're wrong.
And you're telling me that you can't, if it's an extra 15 million quid on the bottom line every year, probably not even that. You're telling me that a club like West Ham can't just go out and get a few more cheeky little commercial deals and make that money up elsewhere? Like, this is West Ham United. Like, we're big enough to go out and do that money commercially rather than basically pass that over to the fans. I might be wrong. It might be a lot more than that, but just fag packet maths in my head. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, numbers aside, it's more the principle of the whole thing, really. But then again,
yeah. But if that's what they're going to come out and say, because of PSR and all the rest of it. So no, you're a global Premier League football club with the revenues that you're getting. You're one of the top 15 or top 20 richest clubs in the world.
19th, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So why are you suddenly passing all of that on to the fans to raise a few extra quid just to buy PSR rules? Upgrade your commercial department, guys. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
No, I just, like I say, it is bad, but I think that's the thing now. Like, it's just not the same anymore, is it? Let's be honest, right? The bond scheme, fans were fuming about that in the 90s. Yeah, that's ownership trying to take advantage of the fan base. Like, I don't know. I think I've just disengaged a bit from this, like, unified symbiotic relationship between fans and club. Like, the move from Upton Park did that for me, really. So all West Ham is for me now. I don't necessarily feel like I love West Ham, but I think I love West Ham in as much as what West Ham represents to me when I go with my dad and when me and you go and have a beer before and you go with your mates and the European away days and all that. I don't think it's like, just generally Premier League football now anyway, you don't really feel that connected to the players, do you? Because any sort of connection stuff they do is so manufactured and like false. It's all through social media and stuff. And they're all just obscenely wealthy. Not their fault, and blame them for that. Obscenely wealthy. There's not that. They're not, local boys made good anymore, are they? Like, that general connection between fan and club went for me a long time ago, which is, I think, perhaps why I'm sort of like, yeah, well, I'm not surprised. Of course, like, we're basically supporters of a corporate business rather than a football club, aren't we? But yeah, on that happy note, James, let's sign off for this Midsummer podcast. Thank you to Miriam and Mike from Betway, not only for coming on this podcast, but for all their amazing support last season. James, anything final thoughts from you before we bid goodbye for another few weeks before the start to the 2024-25 campaign? Blimey.
Nothing else other than England's first 3 games at the Euros has made me desperate for the return of club football. The quicker August the 15th comes around and wherever it is, the better for me. Actually, no, the week before, because I'm looking forward to taking Harrison to his first game.
The 10th of August, Celta Vigo at home. Just quickly then, James, because I've had this, I know it's a bit sort of basic podcasting. West Ham to win the Premier League or England to win the World Cup?
England to win the World Cup.
Yeah, ditto. Totally agree. Really glad you said that. Love West Ham, but total different kettle of fish. Anyway, thanks very much, James. Nice to see you again, mate. See you in a few weeks. Probably a week or so, around a week or two before the season starts. Me and James will be back. Perhaps we'll do some content from the Celta Vigo home game, the Harrison's first game podcast, as we can call it. But yeah, we'll be back around again, beginning of August sometime. One thing that is worth saying, of course, it goes without saying, I hope. But thanks so much to all of you guys, either listening or watching the We Are West Ham podcast this season. It's been a belter of a year, to be honest, as far as fan engagement goes. We've tried to put a little bit more effort into that. I certainly have, across social media. At We Are _West Ham, of course, on Twitter. We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram. And the YouTube as well. We've sort of been badgering away at that all season long. We're trying to do some good stuff. I've done some good bits of the away games in Europe, the opposition views, the end of season media panel. We're obviously still sort of working out what we're going to be able to do next season. But one thing I've really loved is all of the comments, engagement and interaction from you lot. Whenever me and James sort of think about this, and not this ever too much of a chore, it's only ever a chore if West Ham are playing rubbish and we don't have to talk about it anymore. The bit, certainly for me, that kind of makes it all worth it. And that's why this season has been the best for that for me, is the engagement. There's a lot more messages, either DMs on our socials, to either our personal ones or the podcast ones, or comments, whatever it might be. Lots of YouTube comments as well. A few more subscribers. The listener numbers are going in a positive direction, which feels like more and more of you like what we do. And even though me and James spent most of the season disagreeing with each other, we are united and bound by our mutual love of West Ham United, as most of you who are listening are too, and that's what we love. Whether you're round the corner to me and James in London, or James in Bury St Edmunds now, or Bury as the locals call it, or you're the opposite side of the planet, where our main sponsor, Miriam Merrington, is from in Adelaide, or anywhere in Australia. We've got absolutely loads of listeners out in Australia, loads in America as well, and Canada, be they expats or locals. We love all of you, and we love that we're all sort of bound by a mutual love of West Ham, and our mutual, desire for West Ham to do well, even if we do differ on how that might look. That is the very nature of it. But me and James are very deliberate in the way we go about things on this podcast. And it might not always be, the easiest way to get clicks or to get attention or anything like that. But we've said from day one that we want to be organic, genuine, and just legit, and speak exactly who we actually are as real people. You don't really get too much else on the We Are West Ham podcast that you wouldn't get if you came for a beer with me and James before or after a West Ham game. We might be a bit more loose-lipped and a bit more sweary in the pub if we've had a few pints. But ultimately, it's just who we are. We say what we feel. So therefore, the fact that so many of you love what we do, and we've sort of grown that way organically, means an awful lot to us. So thanks to any of you who've chipped in this season. buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. You can still do that. All that is just to buy us a pint, just to say thanks. If you've enjoyed what we do appreciate that, and you'll have heard us talk about it before. Often that money does go on a beer when me and James meet up at West Ham, but we always toast the listeners if we've paid for it on that. Or it can go towards all the stuff I've already mentioned on this pod, which, it's not a cost-free endeavour. Putting a podcast up like this week in, week out, and all the other elevated bits we've done this season. So thanks to you guys if you've chipped in on there. buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. And if you've commented on anything, followed us on anything, sent us any DMs, emailed us, Jim Odie on the emails have been getting stuck in for most of this season. Any of you, wherever, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And if you haven't already, or you don't follow or subscribe or follow us on our socials, make that your summer mission. Go and follow We Are West Ham wherever you find us. And we're hoping for another exciting season next year. Don't know what it's going to look like on the pitch, but me and James have got a few ideas in our heads to elevate this thing a little bit more for you guys. So keep getting in touch, chip in if you can, at buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. Most importantly, just keep listening, keep getting involved in the comments or the DMs or whatever. And thank you very much from both me and James for another excellent season. We look forward to doing it all again in the 24-25 campaign, even if we do get relegated, like I think we are going to. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. Jonesy, good to see you again. See you in a few weeks. West Ham United, do not forget, are still massive. Up the hammers, and we'll see you before the start of next season.